American, aren't you?
Mr. Speaker, members of Congress, and fellow citizens.
You're American, aren't you?
Every year, by law and by custom, we meet here to threaten the world.
You're American, aren't you?
We must all fear evil men. But there is another kind of evil which we must fear most, the indifference of good men.
I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be involved in either special effects or just any sort of monster making field.
You're American, aren't you?
It's a campaign of fear and consumption. Fear and fear and fear and fear and consumption. Keep everyone afraid.
Alright, hello, my name is Jonathan Fuller, and today I'm going to share with you how I sculpt a full-size latex mask. Okay, so let's get started. You're just going to go right into your wet clay. Just start taking out handfuls. Not too big, not too small. And then just start packing it onto your foam armature. A rule of thumb is you want to make sure that you got at least a ½ inch or more around the whole entire sculpture, and then you can go just as thick as you want based on your character. It's never too thick, but it couldn't be too thin. So always make sure that you got at least a ½ inch. That's funny. Okay, so when you get started on doing your sculpture for your mask, it's the blocking stage. And basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be blocking out your major forms and the major shapes and whatnot of what your character is going to be in the final sculpt. Don't worry about being too precise with everything that you're doing. Just go in and just start getting the general feel and shape of the character that you're going to be doing. And you want to make sure that you're going around your whole entire sculpture all at once. You don't want to concentrate on one particular side of the sculpture and build up too much. You want to go around the whole entire thing throughout the whole process so it's pretty symmetrical, so you don't get lost on one side having too much and too little. Just want to make it an emphasis that you spend just as much time and dedication on these ears as you would on your favorite part of the sculpture, because the ear is going to make or break your final sculpture. And a lot of people have trouble with ears because they tend to do like I do, is you'll sculpt one ear and you'll almost get it to completion before you even start the other ear, and that's going to really throw you off with symmetry and matching the ear. But make sure you spend enough time on those things, because like I said, it will make or break your sculpture. So if you get to a point on your sculpture where you've got it blocked in but your symmetry is a bit off, a quick trick is to just take and draw a line directly down the center of your sculpture, because this is going to help your mind see your sculpture in two different sides. You're going to see the right and the left, and that line is going to help your brain break those two up so you can determine which side needs more work, less work. Smells like John Fuller. Blew my wad on it, basically, and I'll be able to come in again and be like, alright, this is what needs to happen to this area, this needs to happen to this area. Alright, that's working. But the overall shape I like. It's got a creep factor to it. I think it'll be good. Yeah. So what I'm going to do today is, yesterday I did the old blocking it out with the initial idea that I had. But the more I thought about it, the more I wasn't really digging the design. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take it in a little bit of a different direction. You can do whatever you want. Change it up, keep it, whatever. It's only clay. Bye-bye. I wasn't happy with the ears. So I wanted to take them off, reshape the muzzle profile in his skull. Doesn't have that look I'm going for. Just something ain't right. I think it's the mouth. There's something wrong. I just need to figure out, and you're never gonna know what's wrong unless you actually start to just take stuff away. So you just gotta be willing to just go at it and just take it apart or change it drastically if you have to. She, he, it has a good profile. Now I just want the front of the face to have that same dynamic feel to it. You never know what you might come out with if you're just sitting down, your brain's going, and you're pushing and pulling and adding things, and you never know what you might come up with. Just don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to just constantly keep changing it. This is already looking better. It already has a really cool, unique look to it now. Now that we fixed the mouth, the jawline, it might be easier now to get eyes done, because it was just, they were like conflicting with each other. You didn't know. Yeah, so if you're not happy with one area and you're trying to fix it by doing another area, it's like it all works hand in hand. Alright, I can finish this. One tip I like to give out is, when you're doing a sculpture, is do your best to get your hands on some eye forms. I have a little mold for my eye forms that I just pour up out of resin. I just put a little tiny piece of clay in there just so I can tack them on, just so I can figure out where they're going to be lined up. And a rule of thumb is the middle of the eyeball should be, depending on your creature, some creatures are crazy, but a rule of thumb is to have your eyeball set to where the pupil is going to line up to the corner of the mouth. So if you have an eye form in there, it's going to help you get that depth, and it's also going to give you a surface to get those eyelids to actually wrap around the spherical shape of an eyeball, which is going to add tremendous detail and realism to your sculpture. You guys just get to see the finished product. You don't get to see what goes into it. Now you get to see all the it sucks. Now I get to do it again. Alright, so what I've been doing is struggling with the eyes along with the mouth, but we fixed that. So I thought it just wasn't looking right, so let's try tiny beady little eyes. And I think that's the direction we're gonna go. So I stole some marbles from the kitties, and looks like it's tied in just right. It just feels right. Okay. Basically just tacked in the eyes just so they stay put. Now I can be happy with where they're at, what size they are, and come back to that after I work on the mouth. Now I just want to go in and I want to kind of, I guess you could say, tie it in to all the other forms. Like there's certain parts I like of the skull and the profile, and now I need to tie in the ears and the jawline so it all has a nice flow to it. And then I can go in and start doing all my secondary forms. Guys, well, I should be back on it tomorrow. Film another few hours. I'm starting to tie in everything. The secondary forms are coming in now. But like I said, don't be afraid to just rip into it and take it apart and completely change it, because you never know what you might get. And I know everybody watching this was probably hoping that I would sculpt the zombie. Alright guys, so here we are, day 3 on this mask sculpting demo. Over the past couple of days it was all basic blocking in the forms, getting a general idea of the design we want to get. And then the second day we finally got to where we wanted to go. We made some major changes, but I think right now we're getting to a point where I can start to refine it, tie everything in, and wrap this bad boy up. What I want to accomplish is, with a wrinkle, is you want to look like the skin's actually folding over and going back in, almost like a wave. Is once you etch in your wrinkle, you go back in and you want to roll it out. You want to basically plane it so it looks like it's actually rolling back into the actual wrinkle, or the crevice of the wrinkle. So you get that nice rounded edge. Yeah, way more natural look to a fold or a wrinkle. And you want to do that with even the minutest of, if that's even a word, wrinkles and folds. You want to use a rake like this so you can go back into all your forms that you blocked in and start refining them. This is a can't live without tool. Your sculpture has to go in and out and in and out. You want to have depth, and you want to have, you know, your anatomy needs to be really on point. Even if it's a creature, it's got to be based on some natural animal, human anatomy. You can exaggerate it, you can play with it, but it's got to be tied in somehow to something natural, or else it's just going to look wrong. usually you try not to get too far ahead on one side than the other, because then trying to match it, you're just like, a trick that I do is, like, let's say for this ear, now I gotta match this ear. What I'll do is I'll take a photograph of this ear, just flip it, and then copy it. Or what a lot of guys do, which I haven't done in years, but it's a very common thing, is they use mirrors. And they'll have a mirror on this side, and you look at your reflection of the sculpt and you match it. Like you want to make it look like as though the actual gum line is overlapping the actual tooth, so it looks like the tooth is actually growing out of that gum line. You don't want it to look like the tooth is just sitting on the surface. You want it to look like it's coming out and growing out from underneath that gum line. So you can dig your tools up into the tooth and under that gum line. Since it is wed clay, you can have slight undercuts and you won't have to worry about that in the final product. Yeah, I'll draw the teeth down into the gum line, and then the gum line I'll do the same thing down underneath the lip. So it actually, everything looks like it's under something else. So just like the wrinkles that you did, just like you're doing your eyelids, and the fold, same thing with the mouth, is you want to make it look like that set of teeth is its own separate structure, and it's down and behind the set of lips. So you can dig your way down at the root of the tooth and bring it up so it looks like it's actually growing out from inside of the mouth. Alright, all done. We haven't really done any spraying at all, and this is the third day. And you can see that it's still very manageable clay. Hey guys, this is day 4 of the sculpture, where we're going to get rid of all these rake marks. And what I use is these, not necessarily sponges. So this is the first sponge, which is not necessarily a sponge, but it's a filter. And this is perfect for going in and buffing out all your rake marks on your sculpture. So you just go over it like this, and as you can see, cleans them up really nice without destroying all that form and structure you put in there. Softens everything up. It's a really cool, easy, quick trick to get a nice smooth area once you've got your major forms in there and you want to get rid of all your rake marks. Just take the filter sponge and buff all that out. The reason why I go in so many different directions is because just like the rake marks go in so many different directions, you got to hit those and make sure you're getting it from each angle so you get a nice smooth surface. So if I just went one way, it would basically just rough those out, and it would still, you'd still see them, but just not as dramatic. But if I go both ways, it hits the rake mark from every angle, which basically planes it down to a smooth surface. And obviously there's going to be areas you can't really get to with your sponge, so you do need to go in and use a tool to get in there and clean those areas up. But this is an easy way to get a large area done quickly. I use more water on certain areas just because it's got really harsh, rough rake marks, and I need a little extra water to help break down that clay so I can get it smoothed out. The sculpture's at a point now that even with the water, it's been drying out for the past 9 hours or so we've been working on it, so it's not going to take the water as if it was a fresh sculpture that's already really wet. I really had no rhyme or reason to the neck, I was just going with it. I didn't really know what I was going to do. I was just kind of throwing some anatomy in there that I thought would work, and then I just kept going with it. Wasn't really a plan. But I also use this when I want to lay in wrinkles and folds in skin. It works really, really well. And it was like I wouldn't accept anything else. That's what I don't hate, but I feel bad for, people who don't have a passion for something, because it's like that's got to be so boring. On my own and as a freelance artist and being able to sell my own work, it's pretty amazing, because it's almost unfair to be able to come out every day and do what I absolutely love to do. So when it comes to doing detail work and etching in all your folds and your wrinkles and those details, what you want to do is you want to break them up as much as you can while still staying true to your character and what you want to do in your final piece. But you want to do some breakups in there so it looks a lot more natural. You don't want to have too much of the same direction in your wrinkles and those details, because then it looks too artificial. You've seen pretty much everything I do when it comes to sculpting a mask. Right now I'll show you how I wrap things up. I'll show you a small portion of what I do, which is everybody's favorite part, I think, with wet clay, is paintbrush and water. So, taking water and your paintbrush, and you're gonna go over your fine details and your wrinkles, and this is gonna soften them up real nice. What I would recommend, especially in the beginning stages of sculpting, is pull as much reference as possible on anatomy, animals, creatures, people, everything you can get your hands on that's going to help you, give you those extra tools to look at while you're sculpting, until you get to the point where you can kind of get away with winging certain things. We should always look at reference, but there are times where you're just kind of having fun and winging out a sculpture like I did with this guy. Oh, no brush up. Yeah. It's a normal day out here and the shticks. I'll do this little area here, and then I'll show you why I have that other sponge, the yellow one. This is my final sponge, and what this is going to do is this is just going to give me a nice final clean look. You dab over the whole entire sculpture, and that's going to give it almost reminds me of velvet when you look at it when you're done. That look, it's layering, just like with painting. You layer the sculpt. You want it to look like there's something underneath these folds of skin, like there's a structure. And there we go. Got ourselves a nice, you see the details in that? Just going to go over it in different areas and just add some subtle detailed textures to it just to break up the smoothness of this guy. It's a really subtle skin texture too. And they call me the machine because I guess I'm fast. I don't know, but that's a nickname that I've been given. I'm the machine because of the amount of work I get done, the amount of new and different designs I get done, how fast I get those designs done. Skynet made me, and I'm really not human, and I have an endoskeleton, and they call me the machine. Hopefully you got inspired by what I did, and you got to come in and take this little journey with me and watch me sculpt a full-size, or full fuck